The Great Pyramid at Giza, the Temple of Artemis, the Hanging Gardens at Babylon, the Lighthouse at Alexandria. Do you know what all of these have in common? If not, then you're in luck, because that's what I'm here today to talk to you about. I will be presenting to you the 7 wonders of the ancient world. I've spent much of my life admiring these structures and put lots of time into researching their history. I feel that we get so caught up in the media and the hustle and bustle of our everyday life that we forget to slow down and admire the history that's around us. I will be presenting the information on each of the seven wonders. I want to make clear why they were built, when they were built, and whether or not they still stand today. The first wonder that I will be presenting today is the Pyramid at Giza. So this great pyramid was constructed between 2584 and 2561 BCE. Pyramids were customly built for the pharaohs to be buried in. So this pyramid was built for Pharaoh Khufu. He was also known as Cheops in the Greek. This structure was the tallest man-made structure for over 4,000 years. Its sides run about 755 feet, and its original height stands to 481 feet. Approximately 2.3 million stones had to be cut, transported, and assembled for this amazing structure. Each stone weighed approximately 2.5 tons. That must have really taken some manpower. This structure took about 20 years to construct. Today, the Great Pyramid only stands about 451 feet because of people stripping away the outer layer of white limestone. Many of the burial goods and bodies were robbed from ancient and modern tomb raiders. The next I'm going to be talking about is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. So Nebuchadnezzar II had an arranged marriage where he married Amytis from Media, and where Amytis was from, she lived in a mountainous, lush green area, and Babylon was arid and dry. So she grew homesick of her homeland, so Nebuchadnezzar had these gardens built for his wife in 600 BCE. The gardens didn't actually hang, but they were made to replicate the area where his wife was from. The growing plant life hung over the columns and buildings, which gave the appearance of a floating garden. There are some that believe that these gardens never even existed due to lack of documentation, but people still strive to see if it is true. Archaeologists have dug on the river Euphrates and found 25-meter thick walls that they believe could have been part of these magnificent gardens. The statue of Zeus at Olympia. The statue, created around 435 BCE, was created by the Greek sculptor Phidias, which is known as the finest sculptor of the ancient world. He also worked on the Parthenon and the statue of Athena, which are both very popular structures. The statue depicts Zeus sitting upon his throne. It was constructed with ivory and precious metals. Ivory was used for Zeus's skin, and sheets of gold were used for his clothing. The statue was over 40 foot tall, and it wasn't just the statue of Zeus that was impressive. The throne that he sat upon was even amazing. It was constructed with cedar and laid with ivory, gold, and ebony. The statue was moved to Constantinople, and there the temple that it sat in caught fire, and the great statue was sadly destroyed. The next that I'm going to talk about is the fourth wonder, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. The temple was built to honor the Greek goddess Artemis, which is the goddess of the moon and the hunt. It was built by Cherisiphron and his son Metagonus. The temple was decorated with 127 columns that stood 60 foot high. It was built with marble and measured 377 foot long by 180 foot wide. Inside the temple were statues of Amazon warriors and paintings by many well-respected Greek sculptors and artists. Sadly, the temple was set fire by Herostratus, who saw this as a means to gain fame. Very little remains of the temple. Several artifacts from the temple were found during excavation and can be found in the British Museum. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus. This structure was a tomb built for the city's king, Mausolus. The grandeur of this tomb is what led to the word mausoleum, which comes from his name. The tomb was built on top of a hill overlooking the city. Initially, a stone platform was laid first and then enclosed within a courtyard. Stone lions, various gods and goddesses, and stone warriors were placed all around the tomb itself. The tomb was built with bricks and then covered with white marble, and unfortunately, a series of earthquakes led to the destruction of the mausoleum. The location of the tomb was discovered in the 19th century, where some walls, staircases, and 3 corners of the foundation were discovered. The 6th wonder that I'm going to be presenting is the Colossus of Rhodes. The statue was commissioned to be built after the Rhodians had defeated the invading army of Demetrius in 304. Demetrius had left behind much of his raid equipment and weapons, and the Rhodians took this equipment and sold it, and which they got in return. They got 300 talents, which is approximately $360 million in US money. So they used this money to then commission this grand statue. The statue was modeled after the god Helios, which is the patron god of the islands of Rhodes. It stood 110 feet tall. It stands with legs together on a base, and this is actually what the Statue of Liberty is based off of. Sadly, this structure only stood for 56 years before it was destroyed by an earthquake. It lay in ruin for 800 years, but it still attracted tourists. The ruins did lay there until eventually they were sold to a Jewish merchant around 654 CE, who carried them away on 900 camels to be melted down. The 7th wonder of the ancient world is the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The lighthouse stood on the island of Pharos to help guide trade ships into its busy harbor. The lighthouse stood 440 feet high, which was placed it at the tallest man-made structure after the pyramids. It reflected the sun's rays during the day, and it used a fire by night. The light from the structure could be seen over 35 miles away. The lighthouse was badly damaged in an earthquake and was further damaged throughout the coming years until it was gone. In conclusion, these wonders were magnificent and great feats of architecture. It's a shame that many of these glorious structures have since faded away with time. So let's take some time out of our busy lives and schedules, and let's take some time to look around and admire the beauty in our world today before it's too late and those things begin to fade away.